like? Yeah, what does it look like? It looks like we are live. So apologies for the hiatus. It's been a little while. Well, it's been a couple of weeks really. We haven't been able to do this. One was a technological problem. Other than that, it's just a matter of time and doing shows and things like that. Yeah, making paintings actually available to people to buy and give homes to, which is an important part of doing this. So I can't really skip that bit. But it's amazing how much of your time it takes up and how absorbing it becomes. So it's nice to be back at the easel. For those that remember, I used to do this used to start at 9 o'clock, and bizarrely, now I'm in business mode and getting up early. I don't actually have time to do it. I can't get started at 7 because all the daytime stuff gets in the way. So here we are. A bit of a later start, but not quite 9 o'clock. So, and if it is a bit late for you, watch it in bed. It's fine. Okay, I have a nice simple still life here, and I've been working on some quiet paintings. Done a few different types, and this is a little return to something I was doing previously. And I'm going to start with. I've still got the burnt sienna on the palette, so I guess I'll start with that. I've got all these brushes in my hand. I need somewhere to put them down. I'll just use the floor. It's fine. Okay, but it's very high key. There's lots of light colours, so this is really just all about shapes. If I want to put my bottle, so I'll have a thing here and a thing here, and then there'll be that shape that leads into it, and then that sort of some shapes here. What's that doing? That doesn't quite know. So actually this is a larger scale than I thought it was going to be. And then lots of dark over this side. Let's go back in with that. I'm using a book to create this shadow, but I probably won't put the book in it. Lots of big shapes, and then that's going to go there. Is that going to stick out the top now? I think it might end up doing that. See, that's going to be too tall. So I'll move the whole thing down. Move that down there, move that down here. Move that down here. Move that down there. The top of the bottle will be around there. And I've got this nice wide shadow as well. And that feels pretty good. And that's going to have some kind of an idea of the things I'll be seeing here. Need to get some blue tack on that. It wants to wander all over the place. Ah. I've got these vinyl gloves. The vinyl gloves really like blue tack. Yeah, more than it likes the thing I wanted to stick to. Let's see if that will play. Should stop it wandering around for a bit. Good. Fingers crossed that'll work. Good. Right, where was I? Oh yeah. So let's put some bits of lights in. So a few negative shapes and what have you. Not quite sure that knows what it's doing, doesn't matter. And it's going to wander all the way down. Now I could always trim this afterwards. If I wanted to make the painting slightly smaller. I quite like the space around it. Yeah, it's sort of squashing up a bit now. That bottle doesn't want to go any higher than that. That's a space, a bit more dark at the bottom. Keep going down. Now I know I haven't got a particularly good image of what I'm painting, but yeah, it'll do for the moment, won't it? So I'm just joining some shapes together. There's going to be a bit of light there. There's going to be a bit of light up here. So I'm getting an idea of where the space is going to go in this image now. No, that's going to be lower down. Take that in a bit. Okay, so I'm starting to get the image up now. I don't know if that's making sense to you. Kind of is to me. There's different parts of it hanging together. Yeah, so there's a sort of ghost of this image up on the canvas now. Not quite sure where any of the edges are. It doesn't matter yet either. I'm starting to see an ellipse there. I'm really tempted to paint that in because your brain really wants you to, but I must resist. That's in there, which means this shadow sort of goes across here, which means that's all light at the front. Sort of. There you are. I'm fairly happy with that. As a starting point, it will do. Right, I could get really fussy with this now. So this is the time to stop fiddling. Let's get some a few basic colours mixed. Okay, now my whites are not white. It's all sorts of colours. So you can see a sort of, well, I don't know if you can, but there's a purpliness because I've got an accent light on one side. And then I've got a direct light, and that's really picking out the oranges. So let's start with maximum orange. See if I can just get the hue of these oranges. So I will need to put out some more red at some point, but in the meantime, quite a powerful colour. This might be enough to just tip it. That feels about right for the most orange parts. It's not going to be red enough as soon as it gets darker. So as soon as the light goes down a bit, it's going to get darker. Right, there's some maximum orange. Let's pop that there. Let's put a bit more red out. Ooh. Now I've got some naphthalene red somewhere, so I might find a bit of that. That could be useful. So my shadow colour, I'm going to mix some of this purple. I've got some violet left over. This is all dried paint on the surface, so I haven't really loaded the palette yet. Don't know what that was. It's almost like a magenta. Also, with the increase in temperature, the amount of cat hair just floating has gone up by some margin. So that's the thing to take into account when mixing any kind of paint. Is you want to control how much dust and stuff gets into it. In my case, there is a layer of cat hair. I'm well overdue a vacuum, but if I'd done that as well, this live stream would have started around midnight. So. Oh, okay. Now this is a tricky thing with paints that stay open for a long time, don't take a while to form a skin. There is this middle point where they've sort of formed a skin, but sort of haven't. And that's when it turns into lumps in your paint. Okay, that looks pretty good now. Still on the blue side. I'm going to use that as my shadow colour. Put some of that out here. None of it gets that dark. A bit more red in it. It's a bit oily. Still very orange. A bit more red in them. Put a bit more alizarin in there. I think I could go even more purple in places. Okay, a bit of a graduation here, over into the darks. I've also got a redder version. Let's pop that over here. Let's make some more of that original orange. Got some there to match it to. That's the yellowy one. Now I'm not going to use that neat anywhere. So actually that might be a bit more like what's going to go in the shadows. And let's just make a slightly lighter version over here. Put some more yellow in that, a bit more of that red. That's way too much. A bit more caddy yellow. So it's quite a little journey into these colours, especially the oranges. There you are. So it's a bit lighter, much cleaner. And there'll be some slightly browner ones as well. It's funny, I was mixing this and then I realised I kind of almost pretty much got that with the burnt sienna. That'll do for now. I'm not going to overdo it. I'm mixing more colours than I need to start with. These will give me a context to start to get in some of these background colours. So let's get some of that. Violet. Okay. Got some viridian here. I'm going to put some alizarin in that, and that's making it a kind of a violet colour. That's going to be a nice, yeah, extra dark. Lovely. Let's pop a bit of that in. That's good. Now weirdly, it's also the colour of some of the light, that violet colour I was just using. I'm going to use the rest of this mixing white, which is just hanging around. I'm going to put a bit of that violet in it. Yeah, that's very much what the light colour looks like, but there's also yellows in it as well, so they're going to be kind of patchwork together, so they'll fight it out on the surface. I'm looking for that tonal jump and it feels pretty good. That'll do for a starting point. Oh yeah, let's use the rest of that. And then once I'll have a bit of that and a bit of this, I'll pop them there. I'll put a whole lump of titanium white in that. That's my yellowy light. That's about as light as it can go. So I want to tone that down slightly. I'll give it a bit of that browny red. That's probably too much. And a little bit of this just to grey it off. It's gone a bit green now. But there's places I can see that, especially out on the right. A few bits in here, that'll be okay. Let's take a bit of that and make a slightly warmer version. So again, I'll go back to that orange. There you are. So that's the ingredients of my white now, which is rather funny because none of them are very white. But they will end up looking kind of white at the end. And there will be sort of little increments in between them. I haven't quite got enough of these either because there's a big area to cover. So maybe just to start me off, let's put those to one side. And let's just mix a nice big pile. Of a sort of a neutral, all of them mixed together white. Yeah. Tiny bit of that grey going in it. This extra lump of, still too dark. Let's have a little dab of burnt sienna, should give it a context. Ah yeah, actually that's pretty good. Very neutral colour. And I might actually put a little dab of oil in that. Before I go on, I'm going to put that here. Maybe probably just a little bit thinners. Okay. Let's get some of this green going. Rather than using alizarin, I'll put some burnt sienna into that just to warm it up. That'll do for some of the darks, won't need many of those. Not green enough. That Viridian's so powerful though. It's way too much. So putting a bit of burnt sienna in, the yellowness in the burnt sienna is taking that down. What else have I got? I've got that purpley colour, that's coming into it. I've got this dark green, that's coming into it. This, I've got a little bit of that orange, just to warm it up a bit. Slightly warmer green there. And then the tiny hint of that will go into the other whites. I think I've got enough to do some blocking in now. Alright, let's see if there's any messages. Oh, look at this. Who's along? Hi, Josie. Graham's, yes, I've only just started up again. It's been a bit of a busy day. But I will be coming back to it again. I suppose it's good to sort of stop and regroup now and again, but this is if I have a bit of a pause and then come back again, hopefully it'll be sort of new and improved, and I don't know if I ought to do something to try to monetize it, but if I do, anyone that's already supported me will automatically get a lifetime membership, but I don't think I'm going to be doing that. I quite like the idea of just doing it as it is. Right, where am I? We'll start with a bit of thinners on the brush. There's still a bit orange. That's enough of that. Let's pick up some of this and see how far this goes. So let's do some negative shapes. Don't get too carried away. Some of my lights, there's a bit in there. There's some light. There's some yeah. Yeah, so I'm trying to have some ideas of things I can do with the live stream. It's always been just a way of me documenting what it is I already do, and never really thought of it as a commercial thing, and still not thinking of it as a commercial thing, but that might be I feel like I ought to do something with it. I mean, even if it's just trying to make it more visible to people. That might be a thing that's worth doing. But that would involve sort of promotion and all this other palaver, which I really can't be bothered with. Hey, that means we're about half an hour in, I guess. I don't want to get too many lights on before I've got as far as even thinking about the shadows and bits and pieces. So there's a there's a few shapes in. What else? A few lights in there. Okay, break some of those edges, and let's go in with some of this shadow. What's that doing like? That's part of my lights. That's not dark enough. Okay, where's the shadow get purpley around here? It gets the context in. Some bits in here, let's get the excess off that. I'm already seeing that this dark mix here is not going to be red enough. Oh, it's completely blue. That's more like it. So we can chuck a load of colour in that. It's good to start with a grey. I'm going to use a bit of raw sienna, just to shift that towards the purple, because it'll keep it neutral as well, which I need. I can add colour as I go along. But to begin with, this is just some shapes. So where else does this go? It goes a bit in here. In here. A bit under there. That's got some green in it, so I won't put too much paint down because I need to adjust that later on, but I can at least mark off the area where it's darker. Same with that. So again, that's not enough paint to do anything useful, but it's sort of drying off the brush a bit. What about in here? Is that too dark or too light? I don't think it is. And I think it gets more purple as well. Yeah, I think I can risk that. Hey. Oh, it's a bit in here. That'll go in a bit. So I'm still painting very thinly here. I'm going to take a bit of that light colour and start working it in here to the we'll recreate those edges later as necessary. Too many edges too soon, not comfortable or confident with them, so just going to jot them in. It's going to be very rough, and only when the other stuff starts turning up will I sort of know what was working or what wasn't, or what I need it to do. Okay, that's sort of it. Right. Just zero. Yeah, so Graham's having a little bit of a break, but he has every intention of coming back. He's got a bad back, poor fella. Now I'm going to do the same thing with the green here. This might be a bit too soon, but I kind of need to try it out. I don't know if that's probably going to be too light, isn't it? Or will it be okay? Just little gestural marks. That needs to be a deeper green under there. Actually, it's only in the lid. I think this is what I was looking at when I mixed this. Lid, and it's not the lid, but you know what I mean. And this is too early. Those lights need to be going in afterwards. I'm still on a big brush. I'm sticking with the big brush for a while. Because there's some darks. I'm keeping them really sort of just some little bits. Already got some confidence as to how this green is going to work later on. Yeah, there's different colours. Just an area where some darks go. That'll sort of a placeholder. Yeah. does that go anywhere else? There's a bit in here. There's certainly a bit in the reflection. Which if I go back to my white down there, even lighter than that. Oh yeah, there's a bit in here. I'll get a different brush. Oh, there's one. I'm going to put some of these oranges in. I'll start with a dark orange. This is going to be quite sort of dry brush. It's not going to have an awful lot of paint going on the surface, and it's not going to disagree a great deal with the burnt sienna which is already on there. There's a shape there. That's going to be too orange, but it's telling me something which is useful all the same. I'm just looking at the simple shapes and letting them explain themselves as I go along. Put some of that in. Well, yes, that'll do for that then, won't it? Let's move. I don't want to go quite as far as this orange because that orange is really, really bright. But I'll borrow a bit of this lilac. There we go. But it's not too far off that lower chroma one I mix, and I'm just putting the shapes together. Not really getting all the way to the edge just yet. I don't want to overload the surface. So if that's that shape there, this is this shape here. That's going to go in there. That is going to be much redder. And it'll be brighter. And we get paint on the underneath around here. Okay, now I'll go into those deeper reds. They're going to fall in here. Oh, actually that does sort of make sense now. It does look like it. Yeah, so the comparative colours are kind of working out. And it does get even redder in this bit there. And there. And around here. And under here. Okay, so now the paint's starting to thicken up because I'm confident that that's exactly the colour it is and where it goes. Oh. So I'm seeing new things here now. getting a bit more of that dark wandering outwards, coming in down here. It's sort of reflected colour on the underneath, so that travels all the way up and across. And then that green, I'll get a bit of this dark, actually comes in there, which is about right. Yeah, and then that shadow comes out of there. Okay, so I'll get onto smaller brushes soon. And yeah, put a bit of that green in there. Okay, I'm going to leave these brushes loaded and have a think about what's next. Take a little step back. We can see it forming already. I don't know how long I've been going for now. It's impossible to tell. About 40 minutes. So what else can I do with this? I can take some of this white. Make an orange to get underneath here. Sort of wants to be the same lightness. It will be there. And then take that off. Okay, it's amazing how dark that wants to get. I'm just going to chug this orange straight into it until it's orange enough. A bit of that reddy one. Yeah, there's some in there as well. Okay, how far can I go with this? Just while I'm going. That's going to be more orange there. Definitely in the underneath. Don't want to go too soon with this. Especially when you're working from the inside though. Right. So that I can turn up. It's got more red in it. It looks much redder on the palette than it does when it lands on the surface. But really what matters is how well it tells the story of what's really happening on the actual fruit. So that's almost just plain red, and yet once it hits that surface it's doing something quite different. Because it was an orangey red, wasn't it? I've got the same kind of thing going on here. Kind of. There's also a bit of a reflection with that. Okay, no, that's not quite right. That's more yellowy. Yeah, so if I go back to this red, I need some of these shapes in. Reflected anyway. Right, if I get some red out there. Let's get another brush for some of these lights. The pinky lights going in there. I'm going to get some of this and some of this. A little bit of alizarin. Let's see if I can pop that in and make it work. Yeah, looks good to me. I don't like that lump though. I can get off. It's a good thing about wearing gloves. Okay, and that pinkiness sort of moves across. And where else is it? Does it get across to here? No, not really. There's a sort of a slightly yellower version when we get to there. Where else does that go a bit yellower? So also from here. Oh, there's a nice sort of break across that, which tells you it's a reflection. Okay, what else? Go back to that purple, that violet colour. Put it in here. Yeah, that's all going to come in. Okay, this is where I'm tightening up the drawing, and not before. That's kind of got that. Okay, that was like a line. I'm turning it into a shape now and breaking that edge. So now it's doing both jobs, which is good. Yeah, there's sort of a blueness there. I haven't done anything about painting this ellipse yet. There's a bit of structure there. That's a bit of vertical. Zoom under here. Okay, I keep nudging that with my foot. It's funny how it starts to appear after a while. Don't think the shoulder of that bottle is in the right place yet, but I don't have to worry about that. What I can do, I can pop a bit of that in. Yeah, and that kind of comes in and crowds out that oranginess underneath. I'm going to come back to this one. That can actually creep up a bit, so it sneaks in there. Whew. Okay, yeah, now I can really start to take my time piecing this together. It's a bit of more of a creamy colour. Can I put a bit of that in? I think I can. Where else can I get that? This is all definitely darker, which means only this bit can get lightened up. I need to keep that contrast or it won't work. And right, the other thing is the shadows. If I go back to this blue colour, I'm just going to do a brush mix and stick a whole load of red in that, because there's nothing that's that blue. And I make it one next to it that's slightly darker. Okay, that doesn't feel quite right. I think it gets bluer with the ellipse, which sort of creeps out of here and then is going vertical there. So I'm going to put that bit in and go, yeah, that's pretty good. And it wanders in there. And it comes back up again. This is very tricky with ellipses. There are some tricks that you can apply, but honestly, especially when it's broken up into different bits, I'm thinking of that being the angle. Which means this is wrong. That's where that goes straight. That's where it comes in. And the ellipse came from lots and lots of shapes all bumping into each other. And now all I'm doing is tightening it up. And the highlights will do more to refine where that goes than anything. I've still got some green on this on this brush. I'm just going to use it to that should be more like the violet actually. Okay, let's go back into our violet-y highlights. Redder. I'm using a crimson there, it's a bit more. That's a bit more on the money. As to the language I'm seeing in front of me, there we go. There's a whole load of this pink colour in here. Where else can I see that? I'm going to put some in there as well. And this reflection. Oh, good. Okay, where else? Any in here? Well, that kind of works. It needs to be bluer at the top. There is a hint of it in here where it lightens up. I'm going to pop that in. There's quite a lot in here in these shadows. Especially the kind of half light. Here and in that bit at the top. Where else? Yeah, and there's this sort of stripy shape that goes down. There's a bit in the actual ellipse, in fact. There. Yeah, there's a sort of a freshness to that colour, which I quite enjoy. Now I've got it. Make a slightly greener version. And bring that in here. And in here. Does that work? Kind of. Close enough. Okay, we're into subtle brush mixes now. Oh, this is interesting. I've got some more darks to get in here before I put the next bit on. And actually, it's reflections of the book that's standing up here, and I really don't want that in. So I think that can probably just be a few shapes. That violet bit a bit lighter. So I went all a bit quiet there, didn't I? That's a good sign. Let's get some of these bright lights in. Not quite as light as the super highlights, but the yellowiness will help. Let's start there. Oh. What else has got a yellowiness to it? All of this has. That's spot on for that. Yeah. There we go. No, that's too much. Actually, it was perfect for going in there. I don't know why I didn't go with it. That needs to be more violet. But yeah, the bottle's starting to turn up now. Where else can I use this light colour? I can pop a dab in that. There's a bit that works itself in down here. Yeah, there's a sort of a flash of it going across here. And it seems to warm up around the edges of the bottle. I'm going to use this even warmer one for that. And the extra colours in the whites will weirdly make it more white. Yeah, this sort of transition over here. So in there, some of those lights in here. They've got this other sort of slightly greeny quality. Yeah, it's in here. Yeah, that works. Oh, do I have a break? I think I'm on a bit of a roll here, so I think I will keep going. I want some of that highlight. I'm really taking my time to see this. There. And then going the other way. Does that do it? Don't want to change that. That's okay. Right, so there's a few highlight colours, and they've got different flavours to them. I'll go back to the cooler, warm yellowy colour. Let's pop a bit of that in there. And that will lighten up everything that happens around here, but in a vaguer way than I've started. There'll be room for a few specular highlights when the time comes. That's got a bit in there. That's a lump which I do not want. That's a bit tricky. I shouldn't have done that, but there you go. Get that orange off it now. Unless there's some oranginess needs to go somewhere else. Yeah, why not? Sneak a bit in that. A bit in the shadow, that didn't work. Yeah, in here. This is too dark. Okay, let's go to some of that really pale violet. Okay, fiddling with that too much now. Get some of those lilacs in here as well. Make that even a bit stronger. A few of those lumps. No. Pop a bit of that in there, it's a little shadow. Although weirdly, it's a light colour, it's actually working as a shadow now. I went into the darker version of it. None in there. Might be some in here. And here it works as a light, bizarrely. Not quite there. No, I'm doing lines. Don't do lines. I'm going to go against that edge. Go against this edge as well. Oh, giant piece of fluff. I get some of that violet here. Bring it in, I'm going to put some orange in that as well. That's too much yellow. No. So this sienna that's sneaking out through the gaps under here is actually doing a job for me. If I acknowledge that a bit more on the inside of this, for example, maybe in there, create a bit more of an edge. I've still got this very dark bluey colour, so I can have a little play with that here. And put a few dark bits in there and there. Maybe a bit of that. Where else does it darken up? Around here. So there'll be bits that have highlights. There's bits where the light's getting sucked out. There. Is that too much? That's too much. Be careful not to overdo it here. If I go back to my light colour, and put that all the way up into here. Now, where else is that going to go? And go all the way across. Yeah. Okay, I may as well round this off now. I'm going to put some light into that gap simply because it does a job for me and I can get away with it. So that creates a nice kind of outline for my Satsuma easy peeler. Okay, now if I get back to the Satsumas, this is where it should get much more interesting. Okay, I've got this lovely pale colour here. That belongs in there. It's not doing enough. I think this has to get even. I need a lighter version, which is one along. And it's going to go here. Do I put more yellow in it? I think I do. Maybe putting more yellow in it isn't enough. I'm suggesting now that it probably isn't. There's more white in that, but it's not. It's moving away from the colour I want it to be. I think I might have to do something else, which is introduce another colour in order to accentuate that orange, or at least the amount of light in the orange. So I've got the orange in, which means I need plenty of red in that. Let's really chuck that on. That turns the colour up, but it also darkens things somewhat. And then I need to tell my viewer about the light with another colour that doesn't belong. And for that, I'm going to use okay, cliffhanger. I'm going to try a few different things. I'm going to use some violet and I'm going to use some viridian. Hawkins. And each of them is going to have a whole. They're both going to go right next to the white. This is so dangerously light. I still think that might not be light enough. Okay. Let's get this pink as well. And just to top it up, let's have some super bright yellow. Okay, this should be fun. Okay, I'm going to start with this pale violety colour. It's probably going to have the least effect, but it's certainly going to create a bit of a sense of light in places, especially where that light is kind of hazy. Where does this need it? Maybe a bit here. And I'll pop a little bit in there. She goes all the way around. This isn't going to do loads because it's mostly got to be little dabs of it. So certainly along here. It's already lost its brightness. Got some more white in there. No, I couldn't do this with just white paint, it wouldn't work. Same thing here, let's have a few. This is going to be more sympathetic to the orange than the other colours, simply because of the red content. So yeah, let's just dot some of those in, just a light edge of that. It's a bit funny looking at the moment, but trust me, it's going to get worse. What was the other one I had? There's yellow. I'm going to get some of that yellow. I'm just going to dot that around all the places where things are lighter. Around here. And there. I'm just playing with the colours. There's nothing I can't put back. There we go. In terms of the orange, but once this goes on, it will start to tell the story of where the light lands and what it does. This is in no way the finished thing here. Let's just see what some of this viridian does. This should be violent, yeah. Just a few little dabs, just where you need to say this is super bright, super light. And here. Bit on that top edge. I'm going to do a little bit more of that, and this time put a bit of blue in it. That's going to give me some of my colour to go up here. That's too blue. What I should have done is taken some of this and put some yellow in it. Now I've got these really bright colours on. That'll do it. It's not the super bright bit. There's the super bright bit. Was there a bit there? Is there a bit here? That sort of mixes in a bit, but that's okay. It's a bit of extra colour, which is kind of what we need there. Yeah, a few little dabs, bit of extra colour. There's going to be some in here. Oh, that's interesting. It works for bits of that. And this bit with a bit of brighter yellow. Ooh. So I got a bit absorbed in this, so sorry if you've been sending messages. I've been completely into it. Ah, look at that. So that's my bright green. Let's pop a few dabs of that in here. Where else that green turn up? I'll pop a little bit there just to be cheeky. A little bit in here. And a little bit down there. Okay, I'm over fiddling with this now. Now if I get my extra bright orange, which is this one with a little bit of white in it, and I just put some of these in here. Got a bit of texture, got a bit of a sense of light. Ah, come on, wake up. That means it's nearly time. Even brighter orange. Let's see what we can get away with. Okay. Maybe make that talk a little bit now. No, I'm starting to lose track of what colour was where, but which was on which brush. If I go in with some of my darks now, I can sort of re-establish that edge there. That's going to be useful. Let's put a bit of alizarin violet under there. Let's go in and, I don't know if this is the right brush for this, but it might work. Put a few of these sort of little abstract shapes for the writing on this bottle. Got this green here. Maybe I can use a bit of that. There's an H there. Okay, what about this side? Definitely this side. Yeah, this is definitely the wrong brush for this. Should be using this one. I'm completely full of brushes now. Oh, that's where my green got away. That's where the darks came in. And these shapes on the bottle. Little details. There we go. I haven't done the bright highlights yet, but they will be sure to come in next. Now I can put that in there with some confidence. Also put a bit of that in there in the same way. And where was I? Oh yeah, that was that's my purpley brush. Where else does that go? No, not there. There's my pale green brush. It's a different pale green, but it's alright, we'll use it. There's going to be a few of those little flashes in here. Give us the edge of the bottle there. Okay, I'll start abandoning these now. Where's my light? There's a bit of that across there. It's quite a bit lighter in here. A little bit of light in there. Yeah, that's good. Now, if I get back to my bright lights with my yellows. Sort of that's okay. That was all right. I'm not going to fiddle with that too much. Same with this. There's sort of a bright light under here. Sort of carries on through that. Yeah. There are a few highlights I'll get a few specular highlights on top of that as well. But first of all, let's pop that in there. Yeah, this isn't specular highlights, but it's still brighter. Let's put a little slab on like that. Same thing with a bright purpley colour. Okay, then we get to the specular highlights. What else does this do? Anything over here? Oh, that's probably okay. Can do with a bit in that. Let's break that up. Mess up that yellow. That's good. And I'm definitely fiddling too much at this point, but there's a few things that still need doing. Right, let's put all this down. It's just, no, get off. Right, last bit, brush mix, specular highlights. I'm going to put a little bit of orange behind them. I'm going to keep using a fairly decent sized, medium sized brush. And there's the orange, and there's going to be one here. There's going to be one there. There's going to be a bit of one there. There's going to be one here. There's going to be a couple there, although they're weirdly cooler. There's going to be a few bits in here. Warm that up a little bit. Just a few edges. Anywhere else? Yeah, a few bits in here. Okay. Now this is pretty much just white, but it's got some of that leftover yellow in it. But there's enough for just to take the white edge off, and that will give me white highlight. White highlight. I'm going to put a little bit of an edge on here, just because I think it needs it to help it along. Okay. Specular highlight, there's a splash. This is going to go on as a vertical, as is that. And break up to the top. And then the last bits. Just here on the Satsumas. Just enough of a broken edge on that. And I think that is pretty much done. What have I missed? Anything? Well, that's super bright. I can put in a few edges here. Put in a bit of, sharpen up a bit of an edge there. And break a few little edges. No, don't need to do anything much more with that. And carry that light down a little bit. And carry that over. And over here. Definitely needs a bit over there. Just make it yellow on the one side. There's a nice little bit of light just on the inside of that corner. That edge there. That works. That's already fine. That'll do it. I hope that has been fun to watch. How are we doing? Good time. Hour and 3/4. Now I've got a weird. Quite a few messages. Well, hello Sandra. Yeah, hopefully you're still there, all the way from Mexico. Very lovely to have you along. Thanks for coming. I trust you can see what's happening well enough. I'm just going to put a filter onto the camera and then I can edit out the shine. And you'll be able to see it. There we go. That's a shine free. Now I'm using a bit of software to straighten up the canvas so the ellipse on that or on that bowl looks really off, but if you bear with me, I'll suspend that filter for a second. I don't have to switch it off. I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll add a new source. And it can be that. There we go. So that's the actual view from the camera. So let's have a little wander in, have a little look at what we've been doing. Release it. Excuse me. So yeah, there's the palette. There's lots of really subtle changes in tone, but if we get to the actual image, there we are. So that's some straight on. So you can see that bowl looks rather different now, I think. At least I think it does. So let's have a little look in. That's Satsuma number 1. And that's my bottle. Satsuma number 2. And yeah, I'm quite pleased with that. That's it was fun to paint, and it's another nice calm painting. And yes, one thing left to do, isn't there? What would that be, I wonder? I think I'm going to need to sign this. There we go. Bung all my brushes into clean. And yes, thank you so much for coming. And I hope that's been entertaining for you. See, I'm really tempted to fiddle, but I must not. I'm going to soften that bit down a bit. Yeah, it's hard to keep your fingers out, isn't it, once you've sort of got underway. That's better. It's no different, is it? That's why I should stop fiddling. Hopefully I'll be back next week with something else, and yeah, in the meantime, You know how to find me. I will look forward to seeing you next Monday. Oh, hi Hayley. That's super fun. Anyway, I'll bring this out to share if anyone expects to see me, and otherwise watch out for Instagram and all those kind of things. Yawn, yawn, yawn. Thanks so much for coming.